Welcome into Movie Talk. I'm Eric Stafford, talking today about some of the things we've got going on as far as movies. You know I like to talk movies with you guys. And today I have a lot of little things, just kind of wanted to do movie talk and go over some of the things that's been going on lately. First off, let's talk about thrifting. I'm a big thrifting guy. I like to go to the thrifting shops and see what DVDs and physical media are available. Because what happens is, I don't know if you've noticed or not, but mainly the only store these days that has any kind of physical releases, and I mean like DVD, Blu-ray, 4K, that type of stuff, is Walmart. That's all that we have here in town, really, is Walmart. So you might find some at the Dollar Tree, you might find some at Family Dollar, which are the same company if you didn't know that. But you might find those there. You might find some at Big Lots, but that's about it. I mean, usually that's about it for physical media in Caldwell County. So you have to kind of hit the thrift stores, hit the pawn shops, look around and see what's out there and available. The yard sales, flea markets, that stuff, to really see what's out and about that you might find, and maybe find some rarities. Well, that happened to me. I just happened to go by the Goodwill and was scouring the aisle, as I do. I usually go by once a week and take a look, and picked up Cocoon. Now, Cocoon, I don't know if you're an 80s child or not, but if you are, then you know that this is a Ron Howard film, and it played religiously on HBO for, God, a long time. Anyway, you may or may not be able to find it on Blu-ray or DVD because for some reason it's not available on Blu-ray and DVD in this country. It's not been for a while. They are available. You can find them on eBay, but they're a little pricey. Some of them up to $200. Now, it is available on Blu-ray and DVD in the rest of the world, but you got to have a world DVD player or a world Blu-ray player because there's different regions, and I don't know why they did that. It's just irritating. But anyway, I happen to have a world player, so I could get one, but they run about $100 that you can get them off Amazon. But anyway, it's not available. It's just not available to find, and it's not available on streaming. So if you're a streaming person and you're thinking, hey, I'll just watch Cocoon, no, you won't. So it's kind of like fallen by the wayside because it was like in the top 10 of movies that year, 1985. It was, which was a great year for movies, I'm going to admit, because like this come out, Back to the Future was out. It was a good year for movies. Anyway, Cocoon is a film by Ron Howard, and it's about some folks living in an old folks' home. It's really about four friends, four guys, and they like to sneak next door to a swimming pool. They live at the senior center in Florida, and they like to sneak over to this neighboring property's pool and swim. Well, what happens is somebody rents the property, and they actually happen to be aliens, and they've come back to Earth, led by Brian Dennehy, to go and rescue some people that was his command crew that are in cocoons at the bottom of the ocean. So he rents Steve Guttenberg's ship, and Steve Guttenberg and Brian Dennehy, and they're all out there. Wilford Brimley and Hume Cronin and Don Amici are the old guys. And so what happens is they ask Brian Dennehy if they can still swim in the pool. And he says yes, but then they put the cocoons in there. And so you find out that they start getting stronger. The men start getting stronger from the, I don't know, good vibrations from the aliens that are in the pool. So they're kind of like getting reinvigorated. And, this was before Viagra and that type of stuff. So they're starting to have sex again. They're starting to, they're feeling young again. So they asked Brian Dennehy if they can continue to swim there. He said, yes, it's okay. But then, of course, they abuse the power. They bring their girls. They bring all these other people. And then it causes problems for Brian Dennehy and the aliens. So it's a great film. It's very heart-tugging. There's one scene with Wilford Brimley talking to his grandson because there's at one point they may leave with the aliens, and they're talking about that. And he says, I won't see you again, but I'll never grow old and I won't die. And, and he's telling his grandson that, and it's just pulls at your heartstrings. But it's a great film, a lot of fun, but it's hard to find these days, and I just happened to find it at the Goodwill for $1 on VHS, and yes, I still have a VHS player, so that's how that works.
From the farthest corner of a distant galaxy and the deepest feelings of the human soul comes a fantasy to fill your heart.
I feel tremendous. I'm ready to take on the world. Ow! Ow!
It is everything you've dreamed of. It is nothing you expect.
Oh, I can keep a secret. I wouldn't tell anybody.
It's hard to know who to trust.
It is the mystery of an awesome secret. It is the miracle of everlasting life.
We'll never be sick. We won't get any older, and we won't ever die.
Beyond the innocence of youth and the wisdom of age lies the wonder of Cocoon. 20th Century Fox presents the new film from the producers of Jaws and the director of Splash, Cocoon.
Now, a few weeks ago, I talked to you guys about I'd done a big haul. It's been a couple of months now that I think about it, but did a big haul at McKay's, which is a talk about places to go. McKay's is kind of a used book, movie, comic book, music store that's in. There's one in Winston-Salem. There's one in Gastonia, which I haven't been to that one yet. Might have to go by there. And I know there's one in Knoxville. And so there's not that many around, but they're really kind of cool. But anyway, I had done a scour of the place, and I'd picked up Once Upon a Time in the West for 95 cents. And I had never seen this. I'm going through kind of a Western resurgence here in my own personal watching. And Once Upon a Time in the West is one of the films I hadn't seen. It was a Sergio Leone film, and that's the same guy that did the Man with No Name trilogy, Fistful of Dollars, Few Dollars More, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Well, this was one of his other films after he was successful. And by the time Good and the Bad and the Ugly come out, people were talking about, and people talk about how bloated that movie is at some points because it is a longer movie. Well, he went full bore in this one. He went full bore in this one, Once Upon a Time in the West, which has a great cast. You've got Claudia Cardinale, who you probably don't know, but she's an Italian actress. You've got Henry Fonda, Jason Robards, Charles Bronson. So you've got a lot of great folks in this movie. And there's kind of, Henry Fonda's kind of cast for shock value. There was also Woody Strode, who was in a lot of John Wayne films, and Jack Elam, who was in a lot of John Wayne films. And they're in it as well. But it's kind of a traditional Western, but it doesn't really seem that way. And what happens is it's more about a woman who has married a man, and she's going to come live on his land out in the West. She's from Louisiana, and she's going to come live with him out west. And when she gets there, everybody's been killed. His whole family's been killed. She was going to be their new mom. She was going to be, all this was going to happen to her, and she was going to help. He wanted to start a town, and that was the whole thing. Is he had land near the railroad where the railroad was coming through, and he wanted to start a town. And of course, somebody killed him to take over that land. Well, she wasn't having none of it. They were married, and she comes in, and she's going to run the town. She's going to build the town. And it's a really great film. It's got all the Western tropes that you could possibly think of, but they're all kind of flipped on their head, so they're done a little differently. So it seems totally different from any Western that you've seen, and yet it's traditional in its own way. It is a little long. There's a scene at the beginning where Jack Elam and Woody Strode and another fella are waiting to kill Charles Bronson at the train station, and Charles Bronson is the man with a harmonica, and he comes in and he plays this little segment with the harmonica, And these three guys try to kill him, which he, you know, is Charles Bronson. He aces them in 5 seconds. But the thing of it is that at one point, Sergio Leone wanted the guys from The Good and the Bad and the Ugly to be the three guys that tried to kill him and have them killed off, right off the bat. And if he would have done that, if he would have been able to pull that coup to have Lee Van Cleef and Clint Eastwood in that opening scene, then it would have really, and Eli Wallach, of course, but if he had them in the opening scene and all of them die, it would totally tell you that, you know, The Good and Bad and the Ugly is over. That's over. This is the new thing. And you can really see him doing that when you watch that scene. And it is interesting that he thought about doing that, and then he thought better of it. And now, I guess if he would have gotten away with that or would have done it, it would have come across as belittling Good and the Bad and the Ugly in that way, to where people wouldn't have thought as much of it as they do today. But Once Upon a Time in the West is a slow burn. It's well worth your time. You're going to enjoy it once you get through the first 20, 30 minutes of it and get the story going. But Jason Robards is fabulous in it. And you don't really think of Jason Robards being in a lot of things these days, but he's a really great actor. Henry Fonda's in it. I would say that his performance is good, but it's really not. He's kind of cast against type, and it really just doesn't seem to work. And I know it was for shock value, so that, you know, here comes the hero. No, he's the baddie, Henry Fonda, so it's a little different. But once you get involved, once you get 30 minutes into it, then it's well worth your time. You'll be like, oh, okay, I'm in now. I got to find out what happens to the widow. I got to find out what's going on. So you will want to find out what's going on with the characters. But I would definitely give it like a 4 out of 5 stars, 4 out of 5 buckets, whatever you want to call it. And so it's well worth your time. If you do see it, it is out on Blu-ray, and it's available on streaming platforms, so you can watch it from the comfort of your home tonight if you want to. So Once Upon a Time in the West, 4 out of 5.
The railroad, the boom towns, a new life, and the promised land. Once upon a time. The widow, the land grabber, the outlaw, the gunman, the man in search of a name. A film by Sergio Leone, who gave a new face to the West with a fistful of dollars for a few dollars more. And the good, the bad, and the ugly. Starring Claudia Cardinale, Henry Fonda, Charles Bronson, and Jason Robards. A manhunt. A vendetta. In a new land, in a new kind of Western.
Did you know that the Caldwell County Public Library is well known throughout this state as having one of the richest libraries that have Western books in it? No, you probably didn't. But that is the case. And all this is available to you with just your library card. But I've been, I'm the movie talk guy, so I have gone and checked out movies at the library, which are still readily available. And I picked up Hell on Wheels, the first season. Now, Hell on Wheels, another great Western, and that's why it's at the Caldwell County Library. But it's a great series. It's really good. This is the first season. I'm hooked. I want to see the rest of it. There were 5 seasons total. It ran on AMC about the same time as Walking Dead did, in the mid to late 2010s, somewhere around there. But anyway, it stars Anson Mount as Mr. Bohan, and Anson Mount's now famous for being Captain Pike on Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. So you'll recognize him right off the bat. And he's really good in the series. There's also another Star Trek alum, Cole Meany, plays Mr. Durant, who is building the railroad, and it's about the real-life building of the railroad. And the reason it's called Hell on Wheels is because that was the real-life name of the town that followed as they built the railroad. Where they went and built the railroad, the traveling town of Hell on Wheels followed them. And so they all live in tents, and they have to deal with the mud. A lot of stuff looks very Sergio Corbucci, or they're like out in the mud, like Django, the first Django movie. And so they're kind of going through that. It was filmed in Canada on some Native American or Native Indian land, and which I thought was amazing, because actually the Indians give them a lot of trouble as far as building the railroad in this show. But it's well worth your time. It's as good as any HBO series I've seen. Think of Breaking Bad in the West is pretty much what it is. So it's a really good show. It's got more adult themes and stuff. It's not your G-rated Gunsmoke or that type of show. You're going to have to might keep the kids away from it, because it's a little rough at times. There's not really a lot of open sex in it, especially in this first season, as far as I know. I mean, I don't know about the other seasons, but in this season there was only really one sex scene. You have some stuff going on, but there wasn't nothing crazy that was like, you avert your children's eyes or nothing. It wasn't quite that bad. Just a little more adult, that's all we'll say. It's very much like any HBO show you might have seen. So if you haven't seen it yet, you might want to stream it, or, because it's available for free on Tubi, but you can check it out at your Caldwell County Library for free as well, and binge the whole thing, and not have to have a subscription to any service or anything. So, Hell on Wheels. Definitely worth your time. I'd give this 5 out of 5. I love this.
Where's your wife now? She's dead.
Are you a gunslinger then?
Just heading out west to look for work on the railroad. This business is not for the weak of heart.
I'm willing to do just about anything.
Make no mistake, blood will be spilled. Lives will be lost.
You ever been to Meridian, Mississippi, Mr. Johnson?
Nation which nearly destroyed itself by civil war between North and South can only be healed by the binding together of East and West. Making manifest our destiny as a great nation. Mark my words, gentlemen. It will be built.
Now, here's something you guys probably don't think about. And I know I don't think about. But I do these shows, and I put them up on the internet, and I put them on the cable channel. And I had done one a few months back about the Creature from the Black Lagoon, trying to see it in 3D. Well, I found a company called DVDR Party. That's DVDR Party.com, and they had it in the traditional Blu-ray, not Blu-ray, in the traditional 3D with the blue and the red glasses and that type of thing, so that you could see it. So Universal had released it, but they released it for a 3D TV, and people don't even have 3D TVs anymore. The 3D Blu-ray players are rare, but I will tell you, if you really need a 3D Blu-ray player and you can't find one, a PlayStation 3 will play the 3D Blu-rays. So that's your helpful hint for the day. You can just pick up a PlayStation 3 and it will play 3D Blu-rays. But the guy that runs DVDRparty.com saw the segment and it was so happy, and his name's Bruce, and he's a really nice guy, and he was like, dude, thank you so much, you made my day, and it was really quite nice. And so he said, I'm sending you a thank you package in the mail, and by gum, he did. And so he sent me The Revenge of the Creature, which is the sequel to The Creature from the Black Lagoon. It is also in 3D. One of the things I love about DVDR Party is, look at that, he seals everything in these poly bags. So you got that, that's reusable. Keep your manta ray case really nice. He goes to a lot of trouble and does the original film art. Got stills from the movie on the back. And then inside, we have the 3D glasses, 2 pair of 3D glasses that you can watch on any traditional TV. This type of, the red and blue 3D, you can watch on any traditional type of TV. And then he's got the disc and a little cue that is, hey, it's in 3D. So, so it is, if you watch it with the naked eye, it's going to be half red, half blue, and that kind of thing. But he does it in these lovely cases. He does this great artwork for it. And I was just, that's what I'd said before in the segment before. I was so impressed with what he did. And he just really liked that and was so happy that he sent me this. He also sent me Catwoman on the Moon in 3D with 2 more pair of 3D glasses. He also sent me some 3D trailers. So they're in 3D, 2 more pair of glasses included. And on top of that, he sent me something called Late Night Chillerama, which I think is just a cool title anyway. But and there's his logo, DVDR Party. And so this is all a bunch of movie trailers. And it's like tons of movie trailers. So, you know, it's the best bits of all these different horror movies. But it goes on for, it's full screen, it's 2 hours long. But it's a lot of trailers, and I thought that was so sweet for Mr. Bruce to send me this from DVDR Party. And so people are watching us, and people are seeing this, and I was just really happy with that. And I can't wait to watch those films, and I'll probably review those in an upcoming show. So thank you guys so much, and thank you, Mr. Bruce at DVDRparty.com. If you want to find any of his stuff, he's got great stuff available. He's got some rare Japanese shows. I picked up Space Giants, which is a show from when I was a kid. It played like Ultraman, about Goldar and Silvar and their boy Gam, the robot. But they were all like rocket ships. They changed into rocket ships. And it played on WCCB here in town when I was growing up in the late 70s. And so he has a lot available. Go there and check it out. They're not expensive at all, so you're going to have a good time looking at what he's got available. If you want a copy of The Creature of the Black Lagoon in 3D, in real 3D, red and blue, just like, you know, Hollywood intended, then you can pick that up as well. And I don't know why Universal's not, you know, it's amazing how movie companies do to where somebody else starts selling it, and then it's like, oh my goodness, we've got to start doing that now. Case in point, Disney Plus. Disney Plus has had The Mandalorian, and they've had it on for what, 3 or 4 seasons now? And they have never released it as a Blu-ray or a 4K or anything like that. And now it's coming out, and now it's available as these 4K releases because people started bootlegging it, because people want physical copies. There's people like me that want a physical copy of the movie to have and to hold and to know it's on their shelf, and it makes them sleep better at night knowing it's on their shelf and they can watch it whenever they want to without anybody tracking them. You know, I don't care if China is looking to see what I'm watching, because guess what? I'm watching a VHS and they can't tell. This is just part of the world. Nobody's trying to sell me a cookie because I'm watching Cocoon, you know, whatever. It's really strange. But there's movies out there. If you love movies and you want to collect or you want to talk to me, all you got to do is talk to me down here at this address, and be happy to talk to you guys. Anything you want to talk about, anything you want to know about that I might know, I will try to find out for you. I have a long family history of the movies. My grandfather, Stafford, was the manager of the Center Theater from 1943 to 1971. He also was the manager of the Avon from 72 to 79. He was also the manager of the Westgate and helped build the Westgate when it started in 1976, and was there from 76 to 79. So I was around the theater a lot, and my mom was a big movie fan. My grandma on the other side was a big movie fan. And I just have a family history of movies that we've always been involved, always been big movie fans, and it's just part of it. If you have any questions, you can email me here. I'm Eric Stafford saying I hope to see you at the movies.
Help me, doctor, please! I know they're going to catch me, but don't let anyone see me like that. Please, doctor, help me!
Michael Landon in a powerful performance as the boy possessed. Yvonne Lyne, appealing as the girl who loves him. Whit Bissell, unforgettable as the scientist maddened by the mystery of the werewolf. And Tony Marshall, a tough, friendly enemy.
These the official pictures?
Yes, Chief.
Slash on either side of the throat. You got any theories?
Thanks.
He was killed by a werewolf.
Panic penetrates every home when this strange, unknown killer hits town, taking hold of the teenage crowd, coloring their practical jokes with hysterical humor that'll make you fall flat on your face with horror.
No. Remember how wonderful it was when you sprang suddenly, dug in with your fangs, a soft throat, the gush of warm blood?
No! No!
Nothing you've ever seen has such blood-chilling savagery. Nothing you've ever conceived packs such a spine-tingling jolt. This high school boy, a teenage werewolf, a constant threat of claw-ripping attack to everyone, to the brave and the beautiful.